All right, guys, with the colder weather moving in, we should be starting to see some flounder moving in to spawn. Anyway, going to go over what I will use as a go-to for flounder in my experience that has proven productive. First off, let's go over the rod and reel. This is a Abu Garcia rod. It is a 6'4" medium, quarter ounce to 5/8 ounce lure. This is, I think, 15-pound mono that I have on here. You want to use a little bit stiffer rod than what you would usually use for, say, speckled trout. For you bass fishing guys, I just use my jigging rods for throwing soft plastics. For bass, that's what I use for my my flounder as well. But anyway, first off, the most common method that is used for flounder is just going to be a jig head. This is a quarter ounce, and then this is a 4-ounce or 4-inch big bites lure, saltwater lure. But anyway, all you do is you just put them on the jig head. Has an exposed tip. So you do have to watch out for getting snagged, but a lot of guys will do this, and then they will put a piece of shrimp right here on the tip to get that scent out. This method also works really well with the Berkeley line, the swim mullets, 3-inch. Your brighter colors generally for flounder, so your oranges like this, your chartreuse, white, pearl white, pinks, stuff like that seem to work really well. What I will do that's a little bit different than most people is I will actually rig up Texas rig style. So I'll have my quarter ounce bullet weight, and then I have a bass worm hook that I use instead of the jig heads, because then I can take this and I can bury the tip of the hook back inside the bait. I probably don't have as good of a hookup ratio as some guys that are using the jig heads, but I also don't lose nearly as many hooks, weights, lures, stuff like that. And if I feel like putting shrimp on here, all I'll do is I'll take the tip out, I'll put my shrimp on, and then rebury it back inside the bait and have the shrimp right here on the belly of the hook. This works really well with the Berkeley swim mullet because they are a lot softer, so the hook will come back out pretty easily. The reason that you want to, like I said earlier, you want to use a stiffer rod is when you're working these baits, you're going to work them very slowly on the bottom, and you're going to feel a bump, and then you'll feel a bump. You do not want to set the hook immediately. You want to let them take it. A lot of times what they'll do is they'll grab right here at the end of the bait, and they have to work their way up. If you set too early, what you'll do is you'll end up pulling back half of a lure. So once you feel that first bump, give it a few seconds, you'll feel another couple bumps, and then what you do is you slowly lift up on the rod tip. Once you feel if there's weight on it, then you set the hook. And when you set the hook, flounder do have a hard mouth. So you want to be able to have some backbone on the rod that you're using, so when you set the hook, it does bury it into their mouth well. If you're using too whippy of a rod, say what you would be using for like speckled trout, stuff like that, you won't get a good hook set, and you might lose the fish right there at the boat, and that is heartbreaking. Another very common method is going to be your popping corks. So your popping corks have an eye on each end that you'll tie your lines into. Your main line will go into this side. If you'll have the weight. Your weight will be the side that is going to sit in the water when it's sitting vertical. You'll tie a leader, then you can use either mono or fluorocarbon. Usually 18 to 24 inches is about all you need. Main thing that you want to remember with popping corks is whenever you've got your line coming to your hook, you don't want the eye of the hook. The line has a tendency to slide up to the front. When you do that, the bait is going to sit completely vertical in the water. That is not a natural presentation, so you want to take that and try to slide it around to the back so it will sit more vertical. Obviously in the water it does make a bigger difference than hanging right now, but it'll sit more in a horizontal position, which is a more natural presentation. And then lastly, what I'll do sometimes is I'll take just one of these saltwater spinner baits, and I will throw it and just slow roll it, just barely off of the bottom, or even possibly bumping off the bottom every once in a while. This method is going to find your more active fish, your more aggressive fish, more of a search and seek bait for flounder for using these. Once you do find them, I'll usually slow down and start throwing something like this and slow dragging across the bottom. So anyway, these are just some of the methods that I have found productive in the past, and hopefully this can be helpful to someone out there, and you can catch some fish. So anyway, if you have any comments or questions, feel free to comment below and let me know, or if there's anything else you might want to see, also just comment below and let me know.